Hello everyone, and welcome to this dungeon editor tutorial for Legend of Grimrock 2. In this tutorial we're going to have a look at treasure and how we bury treasure and dig it back up. And we're going to look at some alternative methods also for treasure, how we can place something else beside a chest and dig that up. And at the end of the tutorial I'm going to go into how we create our own treasure maps and how we put them inside the game. So let's just get started. Before I started the recording of this session, I created some outdoor scenery here, so we have something nice to dig up our treasure in. To place treasure in the game, it's one of the easiest things you can possibly do. A lot of the modders already know this, but I decided to do this tutorial anyway, just so that we are covering all the basics. Now we have a chest inside the game. I'm gonna place some item into it. We can of course choose to have it locked or so forth, but I'm going to choose rapier, put a rapier inside it, just like this. So now we have a rapier inside the chest. If I want to make this a diggable treasure, the only thing I do is simply I lower the chest below the surface of the game world, like this. So now my party needs a shovel, so we can dig this up. Gonna place a shovel here so they can dig it up. Yeah, if the chest is below the surface and we dig in that spot, we have simply dug up the treasure, and the rapier is inside. So, like I said, one of the easiest things you do. The game just takes care of everything else if the chest is below the surface. So let's expand a little bit upon this. For instance, now we have this rapier within the chest. What if I want to trigger something when somebody removes the rapier? So let's take a look at that. I place a script entity within the game, and let's just call this function ogre, and I'm gonna do a neat trick, which is self go spawn forest ogre HUD print like this. Don't steal my sword, something like this, and then end. So what happens now is we have a function that spawns an ogre, but instead of spawning it the old-fashioned way where we used to have spawn and then we have coordinates where we would spawn the given entity, I'm using this self go. Go stands for game object, so in this particular case self is the scripting entity, so I'm spawning the ogre where this scripting entity is. So if I move it around, I will have moved the spawning position of the ogre. So this is a neat trick. Also, the facing of the script, it doesn't change, but it changed the facing of the ogre. So if I do this, the ogre will start by facing that direction, and if I do facing 1, he will start by facing here into the area where the player is. So let's hook this up to the chest. So on remove item, I'm gonna call this script, and we're gonna get the ogre. So let's see if we did something fun. Now we dig here. There's no ogre. If I open up the chest, nothing happens. But if I take he will say, "Don't steal my sword," and we have the ogre here. So there's one thing that I'm gonna point out is that since we have this on item remove trigger, it's still active. So if I place something here and pull it out again, I will have triggered it, and if I do it again, I have another one. So this is something that we would probably want to prevent. Let me kill those guys off. The easiest way to stop something from this happening, if you have an on remove, yeah, what the easiest, or how I find it the easiest, is simple place a counter. Checking a value of a counter is not expensive. So, for example, if we give this counter the name of ogre counter, ogre counter, and we have the initial value of 1, and in the script I'm simply going to, if ogre counter, which is a counter, get a value, and that is precisely 1, then we spawn the ogre, then we do the HUD print, but we also do ogre counter counter decrement, so we bring it down by 1, else nothing. And so there's a typo here. We start the function off by checking the counter value. The counter is 1. If the counter is 1, we spawn the ogre, we HUD print don't steal my sword, and we decrement the counter. So the next time this runs, the counter will be 0, and we won't spawn the ogre again. So let's check what we did. We open this up, the ogre is here. If I place it, then we still just have 1 ogre, since the counter has now probably gotten minus something. So this is an easy way to just to stop something from multiple spawning. This is like a safeguard. So let's remove this chest, and let's remove these the scripts over here, and let's expand even further upon this. What if we wanna dig out something else, not a chest, something else? So I'm gonna place here a floor trigger within the editor, and I'm going to place a script entity next to it, and the floor trigger is only going to be triggerable by digging. So I'm gonna remove party, monster, and item. So this only happens if somebody digs on this floor trigger. And here we can place a function, and let's just call this function I don't know, hidden corpse. Yep, let's dig up a corpse. So I'm gonna use the same trick, self go spawn. So we're gonna spawn a floor corpse, and so I'm gonna hook this up to the trigger. So on activate, we are gonna call for hidden corpse, but remember, self means the entity, so the floor corpse would spawn next to the diggable spot. So I'm gonna move that over here. Let's play this. So if I dig here now, we have spawned a corpse. So we have dug up some corpse, but let's do something else. Let's go here. Let's spawn a skull. Also, let's spawn the rapier again, like this. When the party digs up a treasure, they always get a 250 XP, something like that. So let's HUD print something. Let's HUD print you have found a buried body, something like that. And let's also play sound secret, like this. And if we want to give the party some experience, we simply do for the counter equals 1, 2, 4. Since we have 4 champions, 2 party get champion, and champion is of course gain experience. What was it? 250, something like that. Like this, and we can HUD print that the party has gotten some experience. 250 X. So let's see what we did. Oh, no, I didn't close the for loop. Sorry. So pick up the shovel, dig in this spot. You have found a buried body, and all the champions receive 250 XP. Maybe that was too much, I don't know. Or we can simply take this out of the for loop like this. Since I don't want this to come 4 times every time a champion. I just want this to I'm cutting and pasting this to pieces. So dig here only comes 1 time. You have found a buried body, and here we have the body and the rapier, the skull. So we can use this method to pretty much place everything. We can spawn whatever we want to spawn. We could even spawn monsters and have you take up some monsters or something like that. But hunting for treasure, one of the main things, or one of the new things in Legend of Grimrock, were all the treasure maps, and I really like them in the main campaign. So what's it doing? I don't know. Yeah. We're messing this every way till Sunday. So how do we create treasure maps, and how do we bring them in our game? Well, treasure maps is of course something that we need to create in a Photoshop or GIMP or any kind of graphics program. So I'm just gonna do a really hacky version of a treasure map. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of the game, maybe a little bit. Oh, here's nice, something like this. And if you take a screenshot of the game here, and we go into Photoshop, and I'm gonna load that screenshot up. This is a screenshot I took previously. So this will be the basis of my treasure map. So I'm gonna bring in another texture here. Some of you guys will know this. This is one of the pages from Legend of Grimrock 1. This is actually one of the pages that's used in the automap of that game. So I'm gonna use this as the background for my treasure map, and I'm gonna use this screenshot as a like the visual indicator of it. So the first thing I'm gonna do some smart blurring, simply to reduce the color of the image, and then I'm gonna bring up the contrast, bring that sky high, and then I'm gonna grayscale the picture like this. I'm gonna go into filter, and I'm going to go into the filter gallery, and I'm going to choose the charcoal filter. So of course, if you're using different programs, if you're using GIMP or something like that, you should be able to find similar filters. or do this much better, do this by hand and draw some nice treasure maps, but for now I'm gonna do it like this. So this is the basis of the treasure map. I'm gonna find the brush tool. Yeah, the treasure is somewhere about here. Like I said, it's a hacky version, so I cannot spend a lot of time in this. So this is the treasure map. I'm realizing now this maybe should have been rotated. Now the other direction, like this. This picture is of course way too big, so I'm gonna bring it down maybe by 60%, something like that. So now it's brought down by 60%. I'm gonna cut out from the picture treasure map part. I'm gonna try to keep the axe somewhere where we can see it. And yeah, so if we paste this on, I have an alpha channel in this map that will make the border transparent to the game engine. So yeah, let's add a layer to this, layer mask, reveal all, and let's just yeah, do something like this. I'm gonna apply the layer mask, bring the layer down. No, sorry, I'm not gonna bring the layer down. Before I bring the layer down, I'm gonna change it to darken. So that basically means the white area of that layer will get transparent, like this. So now I'm gonna merge the picture, and let's get something like the healing brush. I'm gonna zigzag around these lines, which can be seen here. Zigzag around it just to hide them, like this. So this is our treasure map. Well, this was this was better than I expected, actually. So let's save this out, and of course I need to go into documents, Almost Human, Legend of Grimrock 2, dungeons, Temple of Kavan Pilok. That's the testing dungeon that we have, and I will need to save this as a DDS file. So I'm gonna call this I'm simply gonna call this treasure map 1 DDS save, and I'm gonna save it explicit alpha. Oh, sorry, there's one thing I'm forgetting. The size of this is far greater than it should be. Within the game, the treasure maps that you can find within the game, I believe they are 256 by 256. So for someone who is playing in a lower resolution, this would be way too big. So we need to bring the image down. Let's just bring this well, maybe not all the way. Let's go 520. 520, and it needs to be in the power of 4, I believe. Library documents, Almost Human, dungeons, textures. Now we can save it. Treasure map 1, save, and explicit alpha, since I want to have the border around it. So now we have this DDS textures inside our mod asset folder. So if we want to create a treasure map within the game, the easiest way to do it is place a scroll entity. Just place that here on the road, And let's give that scroll some name. Let's just call it treasure map 1, and I'm gonna put a script entity next to it, and no functions this time. We are simply going to say treasure map 1, and this is a scroll item like this. I believe it has a lower scroll item. Set scroll image, and then we're gonna tell the game where we placed it. Mod assets, textures, and we called it treasure map 1 TDS. So if we did not mess this up, if I refresh, we would now have a scroll lying here on the floor. If I pick it up and place it inside the inventory and hover the mouse over it, we have the treasure map. So if somebody were standing here, he would, yeah, here's the treasure. Like I said before, this treasure map is 512 by something pixels, so it's almost double the size of treasure maps normally found in Grimrock. So if we need to take into account that some players are playing in lower resolutions, so 256 by 256 is the default from within the main campaign, but all the detail of this screenshot will have simply gotten lost. So if you're gonna bring it down, maybe it's just best to hand draw it, or you know, have those easy pictures, you know, like we saw in the main campaign. So this is it. We've gone into how we simply dig the chest down by lowering it below the surface. We've checked out how we can trigger something when we move an item from a chest, or if we do something else to the chest. We've also gone into how to dig for something else than chest, if we want to dig up, you know, buried bodies or something like that. The same thing applies here as with the chest. When we place the trigger, here we have an on activate switch, so every time I dig here, I will always dig up the same things again and again. But since this is a floor trigger, it's more easy to just disable it by saying disable self. So if we say the floor trigger to disable itself, we will only activate it one time. Everybody gained a level. So if I dig again, I found nothing. So that's easier than to prevent on item removes from the chest. We simply disable self, so it only gets triggered one time. Yeah, I think that's it. Like I said before, this is something that a lot of people maybe already know, but I decided to do this tutorial just so that we would be covering the basic elements of creating a good adventure within Legend of Grimrock 2. So, thank you for watching.